Hey guys, what's up? It's Uncle Zonky and welcome to Game 2 of the Washington Wizards MyGm, at least the second game that I'm showing. This one is up against the Dallas Mavericks. So I did play a couple games off of camera because they weren't particularly close, they weren't particularly interesting. One I got blown out and one I blew the other team out, and I've come to a couple decisions. This team isn't quite finished. I think we need to make one more move to really get to a point where we can contend in the Eastern Conference to go to the NBA Finals. And what I've decided that move needs to be is we need to get an elite perimeter defender, because right now we have John Wall, who's a great defender, but he's a point guard, so he can't really defend people like LeBron James or larger small forwards, or I guess Paul George as well. Paul Pierce and Bradley Beal just are not cutting it as defenders, especially at Paul Pierce's advanced age, and I also wanted to try out Paul Pierce a lot during this game because he had been completely awful in the first 3 games I played. I wanted to give him one last chance, and everything else on the team I've been completely happy with. But one thing is Garrett Temple off the bench has been stepping up. He's been absolutely great. He's been taking a lot of Paul Pierce's minutes, and Paul Pierce is a pretty highly rated player, so maybe another team might want him, but he's been completely awful for our team. So this game was definitely trying him out and seeing if he is going to be a contributor, as John Wall cuts down the lane for a nice dunk. John Wall got a ton of dunks in this game. Speaking of dunks, Nene joins in on the dunk fest, just making a cut to the rim and getting by his defender and slamming it down. So I did try Paul Pierce out quite a bit during this game. Garrett Temple came off the bench and was extremely impressive as well, so he's definitely going to be getting more minutes. Garrett Temple is really our only good perimeter defender other than John Wall at the moment, as Bradley Beal with this spinning dunk. John Wall throws it away, passes it to Jameer Nelson, who's unfortunately on the other team, and the Dallas Mavericks were extremely effective in transition. Monte Ellis is on their team, who's one of the faster players in the NBA and extremely good at finishing around the rim, so he was just dangerous, as was Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal was also dangerous, and here Kevin Seraphin is swatting Chandler Parsons, passing it up to Martell Webster, who slams it down on the break. There was a lot of fast break points on this game. One other thing that I talked about in the previous video, the first gameplay episode I should say, is I wanted to adjust the sliders a little bit because the shooting percentages were just way too high, and I did do that, and the shooting percentages are still way too high, as Jordan Crawford just pulls up in transition and splashes the 3. I love Jordan Crawford in this game. Not so much in real life. In real life, he's kind of a gunner, inefficient player. But Garrett Temple, as I said, coming off the bench, making the difference. Garrett Temple is an excellent shooter. He's a better shooter than Paul Pierce for some reason. Garrett Temple, again, wide open for 3, and he hits it at the end of the first quarter. So I was just extremely impressed with him. He's going to be getting a lot of minutes. He's also stealing some of Vince Carter's minutes. Vince Carter is going to be playing a little bit less, but hopefully I can still find a role for him because I have a lot of respect for Vince Carter. He had a career that was kind of a little bit derailed by injuries. He probably would have been a much greater player if he didn't get hurt so much in his younger days, but he's still been solid, as Jordan Crawford just comes down the break and slams it on Jameer Nelson. Jameer Nelson is just too small, and Jordan Crawford and John Wall were destroying him all game. And that's what happens when you play a 5'10", 5'11", whatever he is, player at point guard against these larger point guards. Because I think Jordan Crawford is like 6'5", and he's technically a shooting guard, as Brandan Wright gets killed by John Wall right there. First it was Brandan Knight a couple years ago getting killed by DeAndre Jordan. Now Brandan Wright goes down as well. All of the Brandons are just getting killed. Dirk Nowitzki, though, he was okay this game. He didn't have a huge breakout performance, but he was solid, hit a lot of those mid-range jumpers, as he was known for. Broken play, and Bradley Beal just grabs the ball and slams it on Dirk. I got several posters this game. That was just one of many. That's what's going to happen when you have an extremely athletic backcourt in John Wall as well as Bradley Beal, who are both excellent dunkers, at least in this game. John Wall's a very good dunker in real life. I'm not sure quite how good Bradley Beal has. He's had injury problems in real life, so that's maybe slowed him down a little bit. Running the break again, and Bradley Beal this time pulls up from 3 with the fade, and he hits it falling out of bounds with the excellent release. Bradley Beal in transition, he can either cut to the rim and he's a very good finisher, or he can pull up, and here's a role reversal as Bradley Beal passes it to John Wall coming off of the screen, and he hits the jumper. So that's typically the other way around, but every once in a while Bradley Beal will bring the ball up the court as well, and he can handle the rock a little bit. Bradley Beal again cutting. Again, Bradley Beal went off. He went off in our first game. He went off in this game as well. A dangerous pass down into the paint, but DeJuan Blair is able to hold on to it, and he finishes, and going to DeJuan Blair again, who kicks it out to Beal, who's fading again, and he hits it. Beal was just on fire, and we go to the halftime report here. We're shooting 60% from the field with 19 assists, and again, the shooting sliders I did nerf a little bit. I did change them down, and I was having even more success with the lower field goal percentages supposedly that were supposed to come from those sliders. So I'm not really sure what's going on. Maybe it's just my style of play. I fast break so much as Monte Ellis hits the tough three there, but there's just so many dunks, so many easy shots, and Jameer Nelson is just not strong enough to contain John Wall, as John Wall just eats him alive. And that's probably what's bringing up my shooting percentage so high, is just all the dunks, and that just is the athletic team. And Nene, again, he's dunking. Everyone on my team is dunking, and when you're doing a lot of dunking, you're not going to be missing a lot of shots. Even though I am jump shooting quite a bit with Bradley Beal, pretty much no one else is doing a whole lot of jump shooting, so that is definitely going to raise my percentage, and that's probably why I shoot so well, even though the sliders are lower, so I'm not supposed to be shooting so well. And Vince Carter, who was once the king of dunking in the NBA, gets in a little bit as well. And we're pulling away here. However, the Dallas Mavericks do start to make a run near the end of the third quarter. We've had a big lead. It was up to 12, I believe, is the max lead, and Dirk Nowitzki in the quarter spotting up for 3. That's money for him, even though the shot was contested. Vince Carter handling the ball a little bit. He can do that. He is a shooting guard, and John Wall spotting up for 3. Even John Wall can hit threes. Much improved three-point shooter, as I said in the last episode. John Wall has really struggled with that part of his game early on in his career, as Dirk Nowitzki gets blocked, but Monte Ellis just completely unguarded on the perimeter. But John Wall has improved that three-point game a lot, so I expect to be shooting a bit with him. You don't want to shoot when he's contested. Bradley Beal can hit those a little bit, as Dirk Nowitzki can't body up Nene. Nene's just too strong with him, and I think I probably have to use Nene a little bit more. I have been neglecting him, admittedly, and this play is just beautiful. Double screen out of the out-of-bounds play, and John Wall takes full advantage, just blows past Jameer Nelson. Again, Jameer Nelson could not guard anyone. I'm kind of wondering what it's going to be like when I go up against a legit defender. Garrett Temple, man, he's very underrated. He kind of looks like Danny Green. Maybe that's where he got some of his shooting prowess from, but he's a solid defender with good size. And Al-Farouq Aminu with a disgusting jumper, short-range jumper there, but Garrett Temple is going to be getting a lot more minutes. I've relegated Vince Carter to a situational role, so he's not really going to be playing a whole lot unless I need his athleticism, but he's not the best defender anymore. Chandler Parsons misses, but Tyson Chandler is there with the putback. And Tyson Chandler had quite a few of those in this game, but unfortunately I just didn't show them because they're not all that interesting. Jordan Crawford, the spark plug off the bench. He's so quick. He just darts in and out of plays and creating so many matchup problems because he's so incredibly fast. As we go into the fourth quarter with the Dallas Mavericks being down 1 point, 85-84, so a fairly tight game. So let's see how our team can close out and hopefully come away with the first at least on-camera win. Monte Ellis cutting to the hoop. This guy is ridiculous. He was the one guy that my team just had absolutely no answer for all night. Monte Ellis was killer in fast breaks. As I said, the Dallas Mavericks had many such opportunities, and Jameer Nelson pulling up with the jumper in the lane, a very awkward looking shot, but he gets it to go. And Paul Pierce cutting to the rim. Paul Pierce, man, one of the few bright spots of his entire night, and we're going to have to make a decision on him soon because he's really hurting the team with his poor shooting. But who's not hurting the team with his poor shooting is Bradley Beal, just keeping me in this thing, keeping the game close, although the Dallas Mavericks are trying their best. As Jameer Nelson, another one of those weird pull-up jumpers in the lane, although that's not really a shot you'd take too much in real life, especially with his height disadvantage. But Al-Farouq Aminu was penetrating a little bit and just refuses to get stopped by my defenders there. And John Wall, again, John Wall slams it on several Dallas Mavericks. I believe that's another poster on Dirk Nowitzki. That's his second poster this game. I feel bad for the old dude. And Bradley Beal again spotting up in the corner. This is not a replay. He does it again, fading out of bounds with the perfect release. That same play happens so much. Bradley Beal always cuts to that left corner, and he is deadly accurate. But Vince Carter fading a little bit with the leg kick as well on the jumper, and he hits it a little bit of style points for that one. Vince Carter was impressive. You know, I was considering, is he really part of this team? And John Wall, not to be outdone by Vince Carter, he fades and has a little bit of a leg kick as well. I guess he kind of faded to the side instead of fading away there. But Dirk Nowitzki trying desperately to keep his team in this game, but the Wizards were just exploding offensively in the fourth quarter. We were highly effective, passing down to Nene with the turnaround hook shot, and he gets that to go over Dirk Nowitzki, who's not exactly the strongest defender. Nene, again, we're feeding the beast in the post, and he just kind of pulls up for a jumper over Chandler Parsons there, and he hits it as well. So the game is nearing down near the close. It looks like we are going to pull away with this one, especially with John Wall just finger rolling it over Jameer Nelson. But there's one final awesome play we have to get in. Bradley Beal says, "Screw this, I am going to the lane," and posterizes Tyson Chandler. Just absolutely destroys him. I have no idea where that came from. I just ran towards the lane and dunked it, and it worked out very well. Dirk Nowitzki with the final highlight play of the night, the fadeaway there off of the one-legged jumper, his trademark even, and we finish off this home victory, our first home victory of the season, with a win, 116 to 108. Moving into the stats now, Bradley Beal was absolutely amazing. Played a lot of minutes, but 31 points. And John Wall, 26 and 15, very, very effective night. 11 for 15 field goals as well. John Wall was insane, and I'm very, very happy with him. And as I said with Garrett Temple, only shot 4 shots with him, but he made 3 with 8 points. That kid is going to get a lot more minutes. He only played 10 minutes tonight, unfortunately, because Bradley Beal and John Wall were playing so much. So my team, I was really, really impressed. We shot extremely well from the field, mostly attributed to all of the multitude of fast breaks and dunks, and just John Wall abusing Jameer Nelson. As you could tell with John Wall's field goal percentage, almost all of those points were off of dunks. And going into the final stats page, pretty even, other than the fact that we shot much higher percentage from the field than the Dallas Mavericks. But other than that, I think it was a very successful game, and I'm really impressed with the way that our team went out there and played. So as I said, Paul Pierce has been a problem. I was looking to get rid of him, and just going through the trade finder here, I found a trade for Trevor Ariza, and they just want Paul Pierce and Andre Miller, 2 players that I don't even want on my team in return. So again, as I said during the first episode of this series, we're trying to keep this realistic, so I am bringing Trevor Ariza back to Washington. He was a huge part of the Washington Wizards for several years and really was a big part of the Washington Wizards having a bounce back year last year and rebuilding and making the playoffs and having a very successful season. So I'm excited to have him back. We now have a legit elite perimeter defender who can defend guys like LeBron or Paul George or even Kevin Durant. So that's going to be very, very good. He's also an excellent three-point shooter, a much better shooter than Paul Pierce. For some reason, Paul Pierce's shooting ranges in this game just are not amazing, but Trevor Ariza is going to be better spotting up in the corner and also just being able to shut guys down, and that's something Paul Pierce could not do. And he's also much younger than Paul Pierce, so that's exciting. And unfortunately, John Wall did get hurt, so my next game I'm going to have to start Jordan Crawford. So that could be exciting, and I guess Vince Carter is going to play the backup point guard role. I was considering having to give Otto Porter meaningful minutes in an NBA game, which would not have been a good idea, but that's going to be interesting. Only 1 point guard for the next game, which is going to be against the Cleveland Cavaliers, so hopefully that'll be fun. I'll see you guys then. Farewell.